Well, hello, welcome to Thrive. We are here today, this week, with a wonderful set of guests. I'm very, very excited to talk with.
What's up? How you doing? Hi, everybody. What's
David
up?
Osmond and his wife, Valerie.
Hello.
Yes. David's had a busy day today.
A little bit. Like I was saying, I'm wearing more makeup than they are combined. It's kind of sad to admit. And more pink than you are. What's going on?
I know. That is a fuchsia top.
It's a good color on it.
I like it.
I like it. I picked it. I'm a stylist.
Well, I think are you a winter or are you a fall?
What do you mean, winter? I don't even know what
Like your
we're talking
season. Oh, okay.
Like when my birthday is?
Like Color Me Beautiful. Yeah, kind of.
I have no idea. I was born in August.
Like if you
so whatever that
if
means.
you wear warm or cool colors.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
You just look
I have
fabulous.
no idea. I have 7 brothers, no sisters.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool tones.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cool tones.
Cool tones.
Yes. Sure.
Yeah.
In every sense of the
This
word.
is why we have wives.
She's my translator. Quite honestly, yes, in every way.
That's great.
She dresses me, let's be honest.
Right. Of course. Of
You're
course.
my
she
real
does.
life Ken doll. So
So she gets to dress you up.
I sit in the chair.
right.
What are we doing today?
And she's your Barbie.
She
Right?
is.
She is.
But I don't get to dress her.
True.
No.
That's true. That's true. This is Barbie's she's an independent woman.
yeah. And definitely not the whatever the
She's not the
measurements
Malibu
are.
Right.
Barbie. She's not Malibu Barbie. Let's put it that way.
I love it. All right. Can you hear us okay out there, Ken? I hope so. Okay.
Ken.
So sometimes
that's your Ken doll.
Oh yeah, this is my Ken doll. Just
How you
stepping in. Do you want to come on
Dude,
with
come here.
us? Come on.
Ken.
That's
Ken.
okay.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Serious.
I have no makeup on. Where's the camera?
I have plenty to go around. Here, let's go like this.
All right. So this is Brett Ingeman. And we can thank
Hi, Brett.
Brett for introducing these two to myself.
I swear, I dressed up for you today, Nichole, because every time I think I've seen you, I've had my hair in braids or a bun, because it's always just been...
The mommy
look
do.
beautiful.
The mommy do.
Yeah.
No, I saw you at Christmas time,
Yes.
and you were like, just,
okay.
Decked out and gorgeous.
When you go to the King's Christmas party, you know,
That's right.
you gotta look a little...
Brett is our
polished.
bodyguard today.
This is excellent.
We are the thorns amongst the roses.
I
We'll just
love
sit back
it.
and let you guys do your thing.
All right.
Step out.
Okay, thank you.
I've
Thank you.
digressed enough.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
for that.
Okay, watch the door.
Sounds good. Sounds great. All right. Well, so I feel like we need to kind of like give our viewers, those who don't
Okay.
know your history. Of course, I think everybody's familiar with the Osmond name.
Yeah.
That's like a household name in America.
You know,
So-
as a kid too, growing up in that household, you don't know any different. You just think every kid's dad does this crazy show business
I can already
thing.
see that with our daughter.
Really?
He was on Good Things Utah this morning, and she's just like, Daddy's on TV.
Have a
And
go.
da-da-da, and then, oh, Mommy and Daddy are going to go do an interview later today, and she just thinks it's...
Well, I'm doing a show too, like in the middle of it, and she'll just like meander out on stage in the middle of the set, and you're like, "Hi, little person." She wants
I
to sing
think-
ABC
Yeah.
or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to the audience, and they love it. They eat it
Oh,
up. She's the star.
It
at
is
that
in
point.
your family.
But she wants the mic.
It's in your family.
Well, it's
for sure.
Bunch of
interesting.
egomaniacs, pretty
They
much.
just, she came that way, though.
Just comfortable
We're
on
not
stage.
the stage parents pushing it. She's just that way.
Yeah.
She had her first dance class this last week.
Did she?
Ballet and jazz, and she is eating it up.
Really?
And wow.
So this is
I'm in trouble.
saffron,
Yeah,
right?
Saffron.
Okay.
Oldest, our
By the way,
3-year-old.
the yellow flowers were in
Oh.
dedication to saffron.
Homage.
It's not quite exactly like saffron yellow, but
We went to what was the bird place in Salt Lake?
Tracy
Tracy Aviary.
Yes, I saw your post.
Oh, okay.
But
We
share.
found our new favorite bird, and there is a saffron finch.
I think.
Nice.
Yeah, she's
Are you
on top of
stalking
it.
us?
A little bit.
Okay.
my
The
job.
saffron finch, our new favorite bird. So we have that name, by the way, is all credit to my beautiful wife here. I had no idea what saffron was. I should have known, but
See,
she
I'm
had
the
it picked out
tangent
long
queen.
before we even met. She
You
had that
were,
name.
you were talking about the Osmond name in Utah, and I'm the tangent queen, and I made you start talking about
That's
saffron,
good.
so
That's more fun.
sorry.
We're just
I'm
having. We're
ADD,
just talking.
so-
We're just. Oh, me too.
Are you?
Nice.
So
good.
going back.
Good. Okay.
You know how many ADD kids it takes to change a light bulb?
Oh no.
Let's go ride our bikes. Okay.
I like it. Right? Cheers. Cheers.
And Brett comes packing Adderall.
Good. There are
This is a
days.
random interview,
There are
so
days.
so
It's
so
great.
far.
It's wonderful. Okay, so let's get back on track. So you come from the Osmond family.
Yes.
So Alan's your dad.
Alan,
Okay.
he's the oldest of the performing family, all the guys that perform, yeah.
Okay. You come into this family, and there's 8 boys in your family.
Yeah.
Now, where
no
do you
girls.
fall in the mix?
Number 4 of the 8.
So you're like in the middle.
Yeah, right. I had to make my noise.
You did.
Me and my 3 older brothers, when we were just we lads, we started out as a barbershop quartet, and we followed literally the same numbers and dance choreography, everything that my dad had done when he was a little kid with his brothers. We would watch the old Andy Williams show tapes from the 60s, for those of you that know Andy Williams, if you're that old. And we would mimic those routines, and my dad saw this desire, kind of like our daughter, and he fostered that for us and taught us the harmony. And we became this little barbershop quartet, which evolved into a boy band eventually, and we thought we were pretty cool and used to,
I think
do
a
our
lot
dance
of girls
moves
thought you were pretty cool.
toured with the New Kids on the Block. It was that era,
Oh.
It was awesome.
I
It
probably
was fun.
saw you in concert.
Really?
Because I went to every single New Kids concert that came to the Northwest region, like
Oh, yeah?
Washington, Oregon.
Oh!
I was there.
Who was your favorite?
Joey.
See, mine was Jordan.
Oh, well,
And
Jordan
mine was Joe. No. I think I was the only one that liked Joe. No, just kidding.
No, Joey's my favorite.
said Joey.
That
Oh,
was
what
my
was I?
favorite.
I was thinking Danny.
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 Yeah.
Sorry. Danny Wood.
Yeah, he got a
He
bad
could
rap.
break dance, though.
He could, and he was buff.
Yeah, he had that going for him.
I mean, that's one or the other when you're a boy band.
Yeah.
The face or the body.
It's hilarious that I grew up and married a boy bander.
It is.
Because I was... Although my sister, I have to give credit, because she had me listening to like Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Depeche Mode at the same time, so I wasn't completely a music cheesehead. I actually had good taste.
She had great taste. In fact, she is the musical DJ of our house. Because if it were up to me, I'd be listening to New Kids and Mariah Carey.
And I
like
have to put this out there too.
So-
You two singing together is amazing. And
Wow,
you were
thanks.
like a little bit shy at Christmas to sing, right? Because didn't they like put you on the spot?
Yeah,
And you made me cry.
I'm not really a performer.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
But she is. She's really good.
She is amazing.
I love the opportunity that I do get because of David vicariously, but I do enjoy it, but it's not like my passion. Like I have to be on stage. I used to be like that when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've just enjoyed kind of taking more of a back seat,
Right.
being behind the camera, being the hair and makeup and stylist
And the
type
pink
thing.
shirt picker outer.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. That's good.
A lot of people do know me.
I'd still be wearing parachute pants if it weren't for her.
No, a lot of people do know me
Valerie.
as yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Well,
Seriously.
you're doing okay. You're
I'm doing all right.
You're
got a
good.
style.
You're just so handsome. I mean, you could come out in parachute pants, and we would be thinking, well, there's the
Oh, look at that weird.
talented and handsome.
He could wear a
made his
burlap
pants.
sack
He
and
could.
make it look good.
It's
So-
true.
I'll pay you both later handsomely. Thank you.
A
They're
lot
my
of people, A lot
publicists.
of people know me though as the Mrs. David Osmond, and I
Right.
kind of think that I come across as shy or reserved, but I'm really not. I'm actually kind of a firecracker.
You are. You're fun.
But
Yes.
at the same time, I kind of just take my place and I just kind of sit back, and it's fun because I love being his quiet support. But
love that.
of course, I have a voice when I need to have one. Which
Yeah.
is thank you for having me here today.
Oh,
and
This
to be
is
a part of
cool
this.
that we're
This is
together,
fun.
you know?
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
this
This
is the
is-
part of the story that makes me excited. Is your story together.
Oh, thanks.
Because I mean, yeah, you're fabulous
No.
on your
No.
own. But I love the dynamic when you're married and when you're in a marriage that's a good, happy marriage, and where it
Thanks.
is, like you said, it's
Thank
when we're
you.
supporting one another.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool
So-
for me because I get a chance to hear you get interviewed and hear all your secrets and hear how you really feel. So I'd rather sit back and watch you guys discuss, hear what's going on.
Well, why don't you tell? I don't know time
Yeah.
wise,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
if
we need to do a little. Oh, thank you, hair and makeup back there.
tuck it behind the ear.
Yeah. Okay. We're good.
Now, this show's called Thrive.
The show is called Thrive.
Why is it called Thrive?
So the idea of the show, let me give you kind of the background.
Yeah.
The idea of the show, first of all, my main kind of business that I've begun is Thrive Destination Retreats. And Thrive Retreats are meant as a place where we take 20 people and we take them to an amazing location. And then it's kind of like life coaching. It's like a weekend sort of life coaching kind of thing. But out in nature, like we have one coming up in Sundance. We'll have some in Park City, Zion's National Park. So just beautiful locations. We stay all together. It's kind of like...
in one big tent?
Yeah, we're in a beautiful home, a furnished home.
Oh,
but
cool. So it is
kind of-
together.
It is together. And you know what? For me, my dream is to do like a summer camp for grown-ups.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's something about getting out into nature, getting out of your routine, and taking the time, setting the time aside to work on yourself. For given,
Right.
knowing you're going for a weekend to work on yourself and to make the connections with new people. I think many people come with friends, so that's great. But so the idea is to thrive, to live your best life.
So where do we sign up? This is
I know.
awesome.
Okay, we'll talk about it after the show.
Okay,
right?
all right. Thrive .com? Do you have that?
Well,
or-
actually, it's the business is brand new, so the website's being built. It's thrivedestinations.com. For now, we are on Facebook, and anyone who's watching the show live can link to the Facebook page through the site. So,
Nice.
yeah, you can find us. Yeah, you can find us that way.
Terrific.
So, but anyway, so that's why. So this show is kind of a vehicle for me to just kind of play around with meeting and introducing people to the audience who have lived lives where I feel like they're thriving. You know, it's like you've sort of just figured out a path for yourself, and you're living for a higher purpose other than just surviving. In fact, I just,
that.
yeah. Do you guys know Maslow's pyramid? Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
I have heard of it, and I
Familiar?
have read it, and I
Okay.
just don't remember the
Okay, I will
details
refresh
of
you.
it.
No, I won't quiz you or anything. But I just posted something on Facebook about it. And it's just a very basic, if you take like a Psych 101 class, you'll learn about it. But so the hierarchy of needs says that at the bottom we survive. At the bottom of this pyramid would be the level of survival.
Okay.
And as you move up to the top, at the very top would be a level of living a life where you are, it's like an ascended kind of living where you're living for other people. You're living with a purpose. Okay. So I feel like you guys, especially with what you do with MS, and I feel like the messages that you're helping to educate people on is like you're at the top because you're serving others. And that's where we find true meaning and happiness is when we're serving.
Well, thank you.
So I want to talk more about that. But wait, you need to go back and talk about your like life story.
This isn't a pyramid scheme you're getting us into, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
Maybe, I mean, if I was smart, maybe I would have it set up.
If you just
like,
find 3 friends, to get 3 friends.
It's hard for him to just stay
true. I
stay
love it.
focused,
I love
stay
it.
serious for just a second.
that's a great, I just had the label.
You could start an MLM about thriving. You really could.
You could, and have no product. Just come to our meetings, and we could have like parties. And this is a great idea. We'll talk later.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Can I interject here?
Yes.
Okay. Please.
I don't know. I feel like David he's such an amazing person to be around. Just the energy he has, the natural joy he has. When I met him, I was just like, wow, I'm having fun. For the first time in my life, I'm really having fun. And he was kind of like, well, who have you been around, you know?
Yeah.
But that's true. It's absolutely true. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, like his focus, his drive was just kind of meandering. He hadn't really kind of found his niche, so to speak. But, you know, he was just hitting 25. I just read an article yesterday with in Rolling Stone with John Mayer, and he's 34 and just now finally hit that groove of maturity where he's moving forward in life and kind of taking a better life path, which I was glad to hear because I'm a fan. But I was thinking about David, and I was thinking that, you know, when he was 25, you know, we met. It was kind of like the record scratch. Life just I can't do it. You're better at sound effects than I am.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it.
that was terrible.
But I really, I really feel
beatboxing.
like God puts a man and a woman together so that we can actually achieve a higher purpose together. We bring out, you know, the best in each other. I mean, for those of people that don't ever find their soulmate or don't ever find a mate, so to speak, I hope that they can have hope and faith that they will, you know, find that person and thrive as an individual, as a single person. But for me, to reach your full maximum potential, I really feel like you need the right spouse or mate to unlock that. And that's kind of, with David being the male and me being the female, we found that together. And we went through a lot, and we really matured quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm stopping you
I
because
scared him big time when I met him. Yes.
Okay, but let's tell the story because the story is awesome.
He couldn't commit right away
No,
because I scared him.
I was that guy, you know.
Okay.
The M word, marriage, was just, it wasn't quite in my vocabulary.
Yeah, well, 25.
Yeah.
You're still young, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I was young, and for Utah standards, I know that's like,
Right.
hey, you're that menace, you know. But
You are.
I didn't think I was probably maybe in my 30s, you know, probably would have happened. I wasn't engaged in that process, you know. So I was just having fun, and commitment did scare me, and I wasn't ready for that at all. Yeah. So I actually had gone down to watch the Utah Utes. I'm a BYU fan, just for the record, but I do have to thank the Utes because if it weren't for them, I would not have met Valerie. Because we went down to the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona, and we had a great time there. It was just before
and you
New
were down
Year's.
there with friends?
Yeah, with some buddies, and we
Okay.
were just...
We're setting the stage here.
Yes.
This is the stage being set.
Yeah.
With a bunch of rowdy guys.
Yeah, a bunch of
watching
rowdy
a football
dudes,
game. Okay.
having fun.
I'm sure he got a lot of girls' phone numbers that weekend.
I'm
too.
sure. I can only imagine.
No. And
But only one of them ended up counting.
that's true.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. That's,
Enter me.
Absolutely. So we go from Arizona, we travel back through Las Vegas, and I was living in LA at the time, but I had to get to Salt Lake the next day. So this is at New Year's Day, and I checked flights. Every flight was booked. I could not get out of town. So my friends were like, hey, let's just go out tonight. Let's have a good time. We'll leave at like 4 a.m. We'll drive you back to Salt Lake. All right, cool. Yeah. So we all decide we're going to go to the Hard Rock, the hotel casino there. All right, it's New Year's Day, so it's kind of a hop in town at the time. And
Sure.
And we ended up going out to, of all places, a club at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Because when you're in Vegas, you just are wandering around, and you just wander into these places.
It was this dance club.
Right?
It was this dance club.
Because you hear sounds like what? What do you hear?
It's a fun place to people watch. I lived there for almost 9 years.
Yeah, it is.
Well, she's from California. Well, born in Denver, but then grew up all in California, Southern Cal, Northern Cal.
I come from a very different background. I have one sister, no brothers, just 2 girls. I was raised in a very fundamental Christian home. We were spirit-filled. We went to church and shouted hallelujah, and it was really fun.
Yeah, the non-denominational Christian. And,
sure. But our household was very quiet growing up. And then I moved to Las Vegas to go to college and ended up just doing hair and makeup. Never actually made it to UNLV, even though I got accepted. I never did because I just started my own business down there and started modeling and things like that. But fortunately, I found my soulmate in Las Vegas that night.
I think I found you.
Okay, finish the story. Okay, so you're at
But
the
she was working there,
Okay.
had her own hair and makeup business, and worked with a talent agency and did a ton of print work and modeling. She was doing a ton of work. And so, we're at this club, and it's that environment, and we're having fun, and I see this beautiful girl in the middle of the dance floor who's just having a blast, and she definitely catches my eye. And we played a little bit of the eye game, just from a distance. I thought maybe she was there with the guy, but I wasn't sure if this guy was just like...
Well, I mean, you just assumed.
Some Klingon dude that she's like hovering around her. What?
Tell her when you finally came up and said hi, what was the first thing
so I go up and say hi. I had to make my move, and go up and make that exchange. Hi, and the first thing she says to me, she looks at me, it's like this familiar look, like, I know you. She goes, are you in my ward? And I thought immediately, my first thought was, whoa, you're Mormon? She goes, yeah. But also I'm thinking, wait a minute, if I weren't a member of the LDS church, and then you ask me if I'm in your ward, I'm going to think, boy, what hospital are you going to? Like, how bold to say this,
I think she can't go wrong with that question.
I know, right. If I'm a psycho, it's like, I'm going to stay away.
Or if you're cute, it's a sympathy vote. It's like, oh, she's has cancer and is dying. Right?
Right. It's a great first line, everybody. Are you in my ward?
I was actually probably, I don't even know where that came from. It was probably a subconscious tactic to actually scare him away. Right. Because I was a designated driver that night out with my girlfriends. It was a birthday party, and I had encountered a lot of these type of guys that come up and say hi to you at a
just
club.
like me.
Sure. Because in the modeling world, Vegas
Hot
is
pink
different.
shirts. Yeah, I'm picturing it.
Pink shirts, hair. Anyway.
You were really, really cute. But my first instinct was, he asked me for my phone number. I said no 3 times, and he kept coming back.
right.
But we discussed a little bit. I'm like, wait, you're Mormon? Yeah. He just kind of dances away. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was not interested in dating. I just hadn't.
She shot me down. I'm not giving you my number.
That's right. You weren't really in that space
No.
to want to date.
I really
That's right.
wanted to the next person that I ever even talked to be, I wanted to be serious. And I had reached a point in my life. I had actually joined the LDS church 4 years before this night, before I met David, not to the T night, but 4 years prior. And I think I was finally just mature enough to realize what I really wanted. And I was just kind of like, sorry, I'm not going to marry a guy from some club.
From the club. Yeah. Nice
She didn't say I'm not going to marry a guy from some club. She's like, no, I don't give my number up to guys, not here.
Sure.
And I totally get it.
Yeah.
I completely understand. So I got shot down. I went back a second time when it felt right, and just asked for the number again. Again, I was shot down. I'm just like, walk away, you idiot.
Fortunately,
she's not into you. It's obvious.
Right.
Fortunately, I was inspired enough to give him my number.
Well, it was the third time I came back.
So what did you say on the third time?
I specifically remember walking away, and I swear to you, whether it was my subconscious or something in me, I swear I heard, you have to suck it up and go back. You need to get this girl's number. And it was a feeling. And that was so against my character, you already asked twice,
Right.
And I went back and I said, look, I don't know if this guy's with you or what. I just can't leave here without your number. And that sounds stupid, but I won't even pull my phone out. I won't make a scene. Just tell me your number and I'll memorize it.
I memorized it.
And she's like, right, sure. So she goes, okay, 3269558.
I didn't expect him to remember.
I got it. And I'm just, 55836. You go to the corner, I put it in my phone real fast. And long story short, and I go back to LA, she's in Vegas. it took 3 months for us to actually go on our first official date, because I would come through town. I say, hey, I'm in
He
town.
would text me and I wouldn't respond.
Oh
I would
my
just delete
gosh,
it.
Valerie, I love it. You made him work.
Yeah, but see,
But
that's
it
what
was
I had
it was
to do.
so
It
against my
wasn't-
character to
Yeah.
even keep pursuing this, because
Right.
I'm like, leave this girl alone. You're like such a stalker, you know. But I just
And I was not
I
the
knew I
type to
had
play
to.
hard to get, but I wasn't playing. It was just instinctually just kind of play low for a while, and it worked. I got the man of my dreams.
we went on our first date. We hung out that first time, and it just clicked for both of us. And I came home
We've been
after.
together ever since.
Well, I came home right after that, and I came up here to Orem, where my parents live, and I went to my mom, of all people, who I don't talk to ever about girls. I never did. And she's sitting there doing her dishes, and it just came out of me, like, immediately. I said, I met the girl I'm going to marry. And my mom...
This is after your first date.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't even think to say that. It just came out, you know. I was so excited. And she about dropped the dishes and like, oh, who is this girl? You know, and I'm catching myself, you know. Now I've opened a can. And I just said, look, okay, her name is Valerie. She lives in Las Vegas. And that's all I'm going to tell you. And so my mom's like, oh, I could just see the wheels turning. But obviously, you know, she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And as soon as my family met her, they fell in love with her immediately as well. And it was instantaneous. It was just absolutely meant to be.
I hate to, you know, sometimes talk about our story because it's like people that get grossed out by uber sappy love stories. I'm like, okay, turn off your radio, turn
yeah.
off the
best.
web, because
It
it's
just
really
sap it up.
It is. And I'd heard
Sap it up.
so many of those love stories, you know, so much, especially I think living in this community, even from my parents. You know, they met, they dated for about 6 months and were engaged and married 13 days later. You know, and now this, I just knew. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to just know.
Right. Come on,
That's
right?
isn't how I operate. And but sure enough, when it happened,
I think you just knew, but I still
knew.
think it took you a while.
I think my soul knew. It absolutely knew. I think the outward me was still just very
Like,
timid,
sure.
still very scared and questioning my emotions. And do I really feel this way? Like I didn't trust myself.
It was about 6 months of dating long distance, and then he came to me and just said, "I really want to commit to you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And
Like,
so,
this is-
even though it was 6 months, we didn't jump into engagement.
He was LA, you were Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dating
Every
for 6
weekend
months.
we were together. You know, I went there, she went down there. But
But then after about 6 months, he came to me, wanted to commit, take it to the next level, so to speak. But we didn't officially get engaged. It was ironic because we really just started making some good life changes and moving forward in a really good positive direction. And right as we had made that commitment and started making some great changes, David suddenly, out of nowhere, his eyesight, he was having some eyesight issues and his toes went numb. And we were just like, what is going on? You know, we had no idea. The last thing we would have ever thought the prognosis would be multiple sclerosis, because that's what his father has had for 25 years.
Are those the first kind of symptoms that typically, like the eyesight, what
it
exactly?
know
seems
that
to be
now.
for a lot of people. And
But at
yeah,
the time,
we
we
look back.
didn't know.
I had my eyes checked. It was December of 2005. They said, look, you got perfect vision, 2020. You're great. Come back when you're having one of these episodes, and maybe we'll see something. And an episode I was having was I was out golfing, and the ball was right in front of me, and I could not see it. And it was as if I looked at the sun for 5 minutes and then tried to look around.
There's like
it
a
was
spot.
flashy, static TV. I'd have these episodes, but it was on Christmas Eve of that same month, of course, 2005, that I did a performance that night, and I took my shoes off, and I told her, I said, it wasn't just numb, like it was just pain, just crushing pain in my feet. I said, something's wrong. I don't know what this is. Maybe it'll just go away.
It was a
It'll
really
go away.
hard time because really, really quickly he was going downhill and digressing very
The pain
fast.
went up my legs, up to my chest, and it was just constant. It would not go away.
And we had no idea. And
Okay, so explain what MS is exactly first before you kind of go into
And through all of this, we didn't have a diagnosis. We were told actually it was mechanical, that I had a pinched nerve. There was some damage in the spine, and
we were
so I was
being
doing
optimistic
physiotherapy,
too,
but it
yeah.
just kept getting
Just
worse.
hoping it was something really simple,
like a
and
sciatica
fixable.
kind of, or
Maybe-
whatever,
yes,
some kind
something
of a nerve.
that's just not getting through the signal,
Sure.
because pinched nerve, whatever. So after a few months, I'm actually in a state of paralysis from here down. And I can't move. I'm in a wheelchair. My eyesight's always that static TV. My hands were like this. That's the fastest I could move them. My breathing was labored, and still no diagnosis. Finally, when MS came to play, I knew immediately what that meant because of my dad. He has had MS for 25 years now. MS, multiple sclerosis, literally means many scars. So it's an autoimmune disorder. Your immune system attacks your own body, in essence, and it gets through the blood-brain barrier, and it attacks your nerves. So you get these lesions, these scars on your brain and your spine, different places, different locations for everyone with it, that stop the signal. I mean, this is your wiring for your entire body.
Yeah.
So if the signal can't get through, it stops you from moving. And maybe it's as simple as your legs don't move. Maybe it's as complicated as you can't swallow. It can affect anyone very differently. And it's tough. It's a very hard thing.
That was the last thing we really thought it was, because your symptoms are so dramatically different from the next person. And so we're just like, no, there's got to be something else. And he was tested for everything under the sun. And when we finally got that diagnosis, it was actually quite a while.
Yeah.
My mom passed away from cancer August of 2006. And David was in a wheelchair and actually sang at her funeral. And that was a very, very hard time. I didn't know I was going to get through that time, but somehow you just find the strength.
You see, this whole time we knew we were going to get married. We had talked about it. We knew we were. I hadn't done an official proposal, and I couldn't do much from my wheelchair. I didn't want to do a big old ta-da, big old show, but I wanted it to be special. And she had her 10-year anniversary reunion of her high school graduation.
Sure.
And I knew this trip was coming up. It was in August, and I had a show with my brothers. Funny enough. And at that show, they had to carry me on stage, put me in the back.
August, this is the same time that your mom passed away.
This was the day before.
Oh, my goodness.
So I had set up this proposal the next day, and I did this show. Funny enough, my brothers put me on stage. I sat in the back with a guitar, and I faked it. I couldn't even sing. But they wanted me on stage with them. We finished that show, went back to the hotel room, and we were going to leave the next morning to go up the coast. And this is where the proposal was going to happen. And it was about 1 a.m. that she got a call from her sister telling her that your mom just died. And I'll never forget that moment. It was
really unexpected.
It was so hard,
With cancer, you just don't know, but you always kind of anticipate that they're going to go downhill pretty slowly and that you'll be able to say goodbye.
Well, that's like just completely just.
Yeah, it was really weird because she actually was doing really great, had just gotten a great diagnosis from her doctor that she was doing holistic. After doing 4 years of chemotherapy and all the Western medicine, she finally got on track and really became she just hit this peak of enlightenment and just was really after a higher way of treatment, and I was really proud of her. But she was doing really well. I mean, she looked amazing and beautiful the last day we saw her, and I'm so grateful that that's how I remember her.
Sure, that's wonderful.
But we got a phone call, and it was just shocking because she actually hemorrhaged and died like that. A blood vessel burst in her chest. So it was, they think, a complication from radiation. So.
But that really is kind of beautiful, though, in that she did go when she had done the spiritual work. And you hear that a lot. I've had quite a few friends and close friends, family members who have gotten to a place where they were really spiritually ready without even really realizing they were ready to pass on. But, they were really finally.
She was 55, 5 months and 5 days old.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And it was unexpected. Just the week before, I was able to take her dad out to lunch and officially ask his permission to ask for her hand in marriage and let her mom know that. So I knew that she knew it was going to happen, which was nice to know that too. The proposal obviously didn't happen, and it was a really difficult time. Right around then too, I got my official diagnosis of MS. So all this was just coming down on us.
Actually went to Mexico.
Yeah.
To find out or to get treatment or why?
For certain therapies. I actually had a friend I was doing some work with some performance, and as a side project, he has this resort down there, and it's like a 5-star resort right on the beach of Mexico in Rosarita, but it's a hospital, and it's really a totally natural detoxification healing center, and
like
it's
a holistic kind of
so
hospital.
Great. It was amazing. It's called Sonaviv, and right before that, this company had asked if it's here in Utah. It's called USANA, and they had asked if not only would I perform again that year, and I seem to perform every year for them at their convention, but they asked if the two of us would perform. And we sang the song together from High School Musical. Soaring, flying, there's not a star in heaven that we can reach. And it was just like, I think about it. And the night before we did that performance is when I officially proposed to her up in Midway. Yeah. And as we sang that song, they shut the lights off and they carried me out to this stool because they knew I couldn't walk. They put me in this stool, and then she performed it. And I think about that song, And it sounds cheesy, but boy, that song at that time was like
Well, the
a
message,
godsend.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
talking about breaking free. It's talking about, overcoming your adversities. And
Yeah.
it really touched us to be able to sing
You
that.
guys are giving me goosebumps, like,
But you-
every.
But these little things, they weren't orchestrated.
Right.
We look back and we go, wow, that is a sign from God. That's a little gift to us saying, hey, you're not alone. Little things, how they worked out. We're so blessed,
I think that sometimes, when you are a child of God and you have a purpose in life and you get off that purpose, God will give you challenges and things in life to get you back on the right path. And that's exactly what I think happened. And going through this humbling experience is just a refiner's fire. And I just think, if anything, David always says it's actually the biggest blessing that's ever happened to him. And even though he has MS, I vicariously have it as well, being so close to him. I don't actually have the physical challenges that he has, but I'm there every day and every moment, and I go through them and I see what he's going through. And there's some times where I feel so frustrated because there's nothing that I can do to really help him. I just have to watch him go through it, except give him my love and my support and my devotion, and try to be extra patient, because there's things that I don't understand what he's going through, and I just have to try and pray for, that inspiration to know how to help him and love him through it.
This is really a big blessing at the end of the day. It really is. And the scriptural paraphrasing is when God says, I give men weakness that they may be humble. Through that humility they may become strong. Absolutely. This is a gift to help us be a little bit more aware of what our blessings truly are.
Absolutely.
And for me, there's no doubt about that. I feel my dad in every step I take. I take every step with a new appreciation because I still live with it. I'm walking, which is truly a miracle.
Can we talk a little bit about that too?
Sure, yeah.
About you regaining the ability to walk?
Yeah.
From what I understand, there's like a story to that a little bit, isn't there?
Right around the time we spoke about.
Okay.
And I went down to this facility. I'd just gotten my official diagnosis of MS. Immediately, we just dove into as much research as we could for what's available. And I was offered all these different pharmaceutical therapies, and there's a lot that are out there. It sounds crazy. It's a nice time to have MS because 20 years ago, when my dad was, 25 years ago, he was diagnosed, they gave him some aspirin. Said, come back in 6 months. Maybe we'll have something for you. So there's been more available now than ever, which is great. But as we looked at certain things, we really just felt, as we prayed, a natural approach is the best starting point. Let's aggressively go down this path. I followed a dietary massive reformation from a book called Healing MS that was really aggressive, and I could not have done it without Valerie. It was, what was it? No meat whatsoever, no animal
dairy,
protein,
no sugar,
zero dairy. You
can't have any
refined
sauces.
sugars, refined flours.
Okay,
gone.
timeline-wise, was this while you guys were still dating?
This was just after I proposed.
So you're just engaged. Okay.
Massive reformation.
Okay.
This was probably in September of 2006. And at that same time of this complete change, supplementally, I started taking I take about 50 supplements a day still. Huge change. During that time, my digestion had stopped at this point. It really would slow down, so I gained a lot of weight.
He was in a wheelchair. He was pretty much paralyzed from his chest down. He couldn't move his hands.
My neurologist called me up and said, you are in critical condition. You need to go to the hospital right now. And I'm like in this wheelchair paralysis. I'm like, yeah, no duh.
Yeah.
Help.
Hello.
But she says, we're going to put you on it's a quick fix. Maybe it'll help. It's a steroid. We're going to give you 1,000 milligrams a day of Solumedrol. It's pretty intense. We call it a steroid blast. We got to get your immune system slowed down. There's so much inflammation. This will synthetically bring it down. So I went to the hospital. This whole time, a massive change, mind you. Went to this hospital, 5 days of it. After, immediately that week, I went down to this facility in Mexico, and I went there for a month. Now, I went in there in a wheelchair. I came out shuffling with a cane. The steroid had absolutely played an effect. However, my energy level was off the charts. I'd had more energy I'd had in years.
He also lost about 25 pounds
that
during
month.
that month.
Wow.
Yeah, I came out of there shuffling. Now, the steroid is a quick fix, like they said. It wore off, and by November, I went back to the wheelchair.
Okay.
Well, we were engaged at this point, and we were going to get married in
We're
April.
planning our wedding the following April of 2007.
So you had about
And as we came,
months. 4 months.
we stuck to this regimen.
5 months, 6 months,
As we came up on the wedding, I told my neurologist that steroid helped me at least shuffle with a cane. I would really like to walk on our wedding day. And she consented because it's not a long-term therapy, but she knew it would just fix it short-term and I'd probably go back. So we did it. I got up and I walked on our wedding day. It was a great day. And
it was pretty emotional on the
it
dance
was
floor, being able to
fantastic.
Oh, I
dance.
bet.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't know if we'd ever be able to dance again,
Right.
you know. And I
Yeah.
actually saw several couples during our engagement where the wife was walking and the husband was in a wheelchair, and I just thought that was going to be our life. And
Yeah.
you know, you accept it. You just go, okay, at least we're together.
Right,
That's
right.
all that matters.
Sure.
Yeah. 2 months came and went by, and I'm expecting this to just wear off. And again, I have this level of energy, and I'm feeling great. And I just kept going like this.
And
the
you were still
pain
following your other...
has been subsiding. It's not as dramatic as it is. It's intense, but it's in my legs only. My eyesight's back. My hands are back. My voice is back. And I'm at a great plateau spot. And just MRIs a few months ago show that there have been no new damage in the last 4 years at least. And my neurologist says, you know, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working. There's no doubt.
That's amazing.
So, and she did say this, and she didn't tell us this before, but just a few months ago, she told both of us, you know, when you came into my office, David, here I see you, a young guy in your 20s. You're paralyzed in a wheelchair, and I see this girl you're dating, and now you're engaged to come in with you. And she goes, I had terrible prospects for you, and I felt horrible for you, but I felt worse for your wife because I just felt for that poor girl. She has no idea what she's getting into because she goes, I see this every day. And the fact that you are where you are right now is just, it blows my mind. It's amazing.
We actually went through the hardest time before we were married. I mean, I used to have to help bathe him, things like that, you know, that you wouldn't expect. And
Nothing sexier than a guy
That's pretty sexy.
when she has to help clean me. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Right.
you're just surviving. Everything else goes out the window, and you're surviving, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it was something we never expected. It wasn't the love story we ever had heard of or expected, but I wouldn't change it at all.
Right.
You
In
know,
fact-
after we were married for a year and a half, we moved. And I remember when we got married, when we moved in officially, that was a hard move. I had to do basically everything. He couldn't lift anything. A year and a half later, we moved into another place, and he was carrying boxes up the stairs and moving heavy couches, and I just fell on the floor and started bawling because I could not believe that he was able to do that, and what a miracle that was. And once again, we don't really know an exact regimen. I mean, he definitely has 100% uber optimistic attitude, which I know
That's
plays a
huge.
huge factor on top of prayer and faith, and definitely being more aware of what you put into your body, you know, nutrition-wise and supplements. But ultimately, he hasn't done anything, you know, really pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
So, but at
Well,
the
it's
same
amazing.
time-
And like what you just said with supplements and food, our body is built and healed by what we eat, what we put in ourselves. So.
You know, and to her credit, you know, here she's just engaged to this guy in a wheelchair, and a lot of people in Vegas would go to her and say, "Are you sure?
Right.
You want to marry a Mormon?" Because a lot of them didn't even realize at the time. But you want to marry a disabled Mormon? Are you insane?
I did get a lot of slack from people, and it was like shocking that they would say that. And I know that they're probably just looking out for my best interest.
Sure.
But I was like, yeah, in sickness and in health, you know, that's what I'm committing to.
Right.
And we're grateful for this 5 years of health and
It's been
doing
5
well.
years.
On my feet for 5 years.
And we have 2 daughters. One's 1 and 1 is 3 years old, and they're the best thing that's ever happened
They're
to
incredible.
us.
They are.
They're
But
awesome.
They are.
I mean, you never know, though. You never know what tomorrow may have in store for you. So you just have to live every day the fullest. And during
That's
the end
anybody.
of the day,
That's anybody. Just yesterday, I was asked to go and help bring a sacrament meeting to this care facility right by our house, and I did so. And this one was really for those with Alzheimer's and a little bit of dementia and maybe cancer.
I've helped with that before.
Most people were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and but it was hard to see. But there was this young kid in the back, and he was in a wheelchair. We finished the meeting, and I had sang and spoke a little bit. And I went up to him after just to say hi, and he goes, "Hi, my name's Danny." I said, and I inquired a little bit about his situation and why he was there. He just seemed like a little out of place. He's 24 years old. 5 years ago, at 19, his cousin fell asleep at the wheel. They flipped 4 times, broke his C4, C5, I think it was, he said, and from the collarbones down, he's completely paralyzed. And he's sitting there because he doesn't, he needs someone to completely care for him full time, and he's in this facility, and I I sit there and I look at him and I go, wow. And we just shared a moment. I think in the back of my head, what do I have to complain about? This is nothing. And it seems I meet someone every single day now that is battling financial problems or addiction or cancer or something else. And I just think, how do you do it? You know, I'm inspired by them. And the gift I've been given is I get a chance to travel around and bring my music and speak to large groups of people that might have MS or other problems. And I'm inspired by them. It helps me because we're all in this together. You know, this life is fast. It's crazy fast.
Yeah.
And I'm.
But we pray for opportunities to share a message of hope, and not for our glory, but to give a greater good.
Absolutely.
The Lord,
You're
to
using
give Him
your-
the glory,
Yeah.
and also to just help people who are struggling and try to just. In the moment, I mean, when my mom died and David was sick, you just go through the motions. You just live, endure to the end of the day. You just got to get through the day. You don't really know how to cope, at the time. And looking back in hindsight, that was a really hard time. But I'm grateful we got to go through that before we got married, because I knew that we could handle anything once we made that commitment.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful he's doing as well as he is. But, I mean, he still has constant pain from his thighs down. He has neuropathy and crushing pain every single moment of every single day. And, you'd never know by looking at him. And there's several other things
sucks.
You're
that he
like one
deals
of
with.
the happiest people I've ever met. I mean, well, that's genuinely
what,
just
Nichole?
I have a-
cheerful.
That's truly the one thing I love the most about David is, honestly, I swear to anybody that knows David, he's the real deal. What you see is what you
Totally.
get.
Yeah.
There's no sugar coating. There's no facade.
It's a genetic predisposition.
No, but I really feel like
I
this
blame my
last-
family.
But no,
But
even
you are,
the
you're
last 7
cheery
years, I really
happy.
feel like you have really come into who you really are.
Yeah,
And
I agree. Absolutely.
And you wonder, would that have happened? I mean, with what you've had happen, it's like sped everything up for you,
Yeah, I think so. That's why this is
been
such
through
a
the trial.
gift. I'm young.
thank you for articulating that. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm young. And we're all young. But I feel this has just allowed me, no matter how long I live on this earth, I mean, no matter any of us, this has given me a chance to just appreciate my abilities versus my disabilities. Because I still got a lot. I drove our car today coming over here. That's awesome. I wasn't able to do that before.
When his
Right.
toe moved for the very first time again, I mean, he said that was the greatest feeling and the greatest gift that he wishes he could give to
be able
everybody.
to move your toe.
Yeah. Just the little things that we all take for granted,
Right.
So I'm just grateful for the perspective that this has given us.
No, absolutely.
And I mean, sometimes you lose sight, you have a bad hair day, you
What are you saying?
you just, I mean, not every day is perfect. I definitely want to,
Of course.
set that out there that we definitely still have days where you lose perspective and you're angry about something small and stupid.
Yeah.
And then, once again, you take a deep breath and you go, okay, this is life. We are surviving, but
Right.
you're grateful to get that dose of perspective once again.
There was a moment, and I've shared it a few times, but there was a moment during that time in a wheelchair that I'll never forget, and it was when I was at my parents' house, and I was watching my younger brother. He was on the floor over in the other room, and he was playing with his son. They were wrestling and having fun, and it was such a cute moment. It was this Hallmark moment, and I was watching it like the fly on the wall and enjoying it. And as I'm watching it from my chair, my smile just turned quick, and I started thinking about my fiancée at the time, and I'm thinking about having kids. I'm thinking about what my brother's doing there physically, and I thought, I'm never going to have that. And I started feeling so sorry for myself. I got bitter and just angry,
Right.
and just mad. I wanted to just hit something.
You dropped yourself down here.
I fell, and I
Yeah.
was so mad, and why me was the question. Why did this happen to me? I think the gift I've been given is to learn that question of why me, I'm never allowed to ever ask, ever. Unless I ask the same question for every moment of happiness and joy that comes to me in my life. And I look at my beautiful wife and our beautiful kids, and I ask, why? Why me? Why did all this happen to me? And that just erases everything else. It's just gone. I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I still have moments. I'll still go through a moment here and there where the pain is getting to me, or I'll trip and I'll fall. And I think about, I wish I could play the sports the way I used to. I wish I could get out there physically and be a part of this. I wish I didn't have these problems. And I start to feel sorry for myself, and I try and catch myself. And it's hard to mentally change that around, but it's worth it if you can. Just fight. Just keep fighting.
Well, you know, it's fascinating. Anytime I feel like when we're saying why me, we're obviously not in gratitude.
Yeah.
And because what you just said was so beautiful. Same question when you ask why me for all these blessings and these things we should be grateful for. When we're in gratitude, that's what brings you back up here.
It's easy to look
Always.
at the negative. You know,
Sure.
and
Well, you can compare yourself to the Joneses, or you can, look at a third world country and how blessed we are all to live in this country in America and the blessings that we have.
For sure.
You know.
And even from a soul level, I mean, this is just me, tie over the shoulder, my opinion, but I feel like many of these trials that we have, we've chosen to walk into. I feel like on a soul level, before we came here, maybe, we chose to have these experiences.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, we knew that. I mean, you two, the strength you have as a couple also has been hugely blessed by having been through all that.
This guy is everything for me. I don't have my mom. I don't have any family here in Utah. And a lot of times I start to feel alone, and like having two young kids, it's hard.
It is. It's
when
isolating.
you don't have another woman that's there, just that's got your back, whether it's a sibling or a mother, and he changes so many diapers. He is such
I
a
don't care.
great father.
I'm glad that I can do it.
No, I have to
You know
just
what I
throw
mean?
this out there because the first time that I met you was at a 4th of July. It was at a barbecue.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think you were feeding a baby or like nursing a baby and trying to get the other one fed and got things going in all directions. And you just got up and just were so sweet to her and just asked, what do you need help with? Let me go get you a plate of food. What would
great.
you like to eat?
He's so
just
great.
so sweet. So sweet. I thought,
He's my sanity. He really
love him.
is. Yeah, he really is. He helps me every day.
Well, and I recognize that she comes from a family where she has one sister, and she lives in New Mexico, and her dad is in Las Vegas. She comes up here, and she doesn't have anybody,
Right.
and I have a big family, and so I have to make up where she might not have, and so she says, I am her mom, I am her dad, I am her brother and
He wears
sister.
many hats.
I think you guys
have
are
to fill all these roles, and I'm
but you're-
happy to.
Yeah, you guys are such a healthy example of, like we've talked about on shows, codependence and interdependence. And you two are a great example of interdependence because you're both very strong, capable individuals on your own. I don't think you have one of these unhealthy relationships where you're, pulling from the other person for validation. It's just fully you support one another and
Thank
you
you.
love one another.
Well, you should hear.
It's all give and take.
You talked about this challenge of mine, and like I said, we all have challenges. You should hear about what she has to go through just to even bring these children here.
Yes, this is what.
Oh
what time
my
is it?
gosh.
We do have time. Okay, good.
You think this is bad?
I want to hear about this.
This
and are you
is
writing your book?
crazy.
Because we've talked about
Yes,
this.
I
Good.
actually did kind of put things on hold a little bit because I'm the type of person when I work on something, I want to go full speed ahead and really put my heart and soul into it. And especially this because I am so passionate about it. I don't want there to be anything distracting me. Of course, just being a great mother and wife is my first priority every day. Sure. But I have a condition, and granted, it's only for 9 months, and it's a very good condition to have because it means that I'm having a baby, and which is a glorious, wonderful thing, and I'm so grateful that I can have children. But unfortunately, I get a condition called hyperemesis gravidarum. It's actually a disease that you get when you're expecting, and it's not just morning sickness. There's just not enough awareness. There's so many women that come up to me and go, "Oh, honey, here's a saltine. Just lay down, you'll feel better." And
It's called HG.
they don't understand.
Long title.
Hyperemesis gravidarum. You can Google it. HG for short. David has MS. I have HG. So basically, long story, it's uncontrolled vomiting. I mean, all day long for months and months and months. You actually lose weight, anywhere from 5 to 20 pounds in your first trimester. You typically always have to be put on IVs just to stay alive.
Hospice home care comes in,
Hospitalized or-
and they
And in some cases, a feeding tube, which I, was on the brink of a feeding tube with this last pregnancy. I had it with my first daughter, but I didn't know any different. You just get through it. And I thought, oh, that was just really bad morning sickness. But then I started to get educated. And as far as I know, there's only one book on the out there in the market right now about this. And I actually thought it kind of had a negative tone to it. And kind of without pushing it, it really had an undertone that, saying abortion is okay when you're this sick. And personally, I know that's a personal choice for everybody, but for me, I am pro-life, and I believe that that's a life inside of you. And so to me, abortion is not an option. So I want to have a book that has a positive tone to, you will get through this. It's 9 months of feeling like you are dying. But at the end of the road, you have this beautiful child that was worth every moment. There's no scale. The baby
There's
way
no comparison.
outweighs.
Yeah.
But honestly, you feel like you're dying because you get all these different things going on, but the main thing is dehydration. And the symptoms of dehydration can actually be hallucinating.
Absolutely. Your brain.
It affects your neurological system. It actually, it actually makes you vomit more. And so you get dehydrated and it really starts to mess with your head. But
she was laid out in bed. She couldn't move her head, and she's on IVs, and she's just there for months. And I mean, every little smell would just set her off. It was terrible.
It was really bad.
And our doctor, who's delivered thousands of babies, came to her and said after the pregnancy, he goes, I didn't tell you this at the time, but you are the sickest pregnant woman I've ever seen in my life.
And I can laugh about it now, but honestly, I do still feel like we would love to add at least another baby to our family. And thinking about having to go through that scares me to death.
So is there a treatment for it? I mean, is this something where has much work been? I mean, how many women have you heard of that are just sick, let alone
I don't think
sick?
I think it's maybe 1 in 1,000 might have it. So I don't think there's enough money there, frankly, for them to do a lot of studies on it.
Awareness.
I have a friend who lost a baby. She had it. She was hospitalized.
HG?
She lost
Really?
her baby at 8 months.
Yikes.
Because she was so sick.
There are times, I think, through this condition that you have an option, you have a choice and say, look, it's either your life or your baby's. Because it's so depleting. The funny thing about it is it can deplete the mother so gravely, and the baby sometimes can just thrive because they're
baby thrives.
depleting that
Yeah.
mom so much.
Seriously, they come out.
amazing.
They come out perfectly healthy,
know.
and it actually takes me about a year after after the birth to fully recover. I mean, on top of that, I need a nurse, but that's another reason why I've kind of postponed my book, is I have root canals that I have to have done.
Yeah.
Because my teeth are just destroyed.
Yeah,
but
because the calcium in
but
your teeth.
I am working on it. It's going to be done one of these days, and I'll be glad to maybe come back and share that with you.
I would love it. I would love to have you back, because I know there are plenty of women who, even if they don't have the full disease, they do have horrible morning sickness that lasts through a lot of their pregnancy.
Terrible. I'm glad I'm a dude. Let's just put it out.
Seriously, you should be glad.
Jeez.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know we've got just a little bit of time left. You know what? There was a couple of questions. So
Okay.
one of the questions was, do you take your children with you when you travel?
Yes.
Yes.
When I go.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
used to go everywhere with them, but since we have kids, I've kind of stayed home a little bit more.
If it makes sense, if it's not too crazy, sometimes I have to jot around really fast, and then it's just hard. But I try and work my travel schedule out so that we can go together. And it's a little bit of a traveling circus, but it's fun.
Yeah.
This last month, we took 5 days off. We were in California, so we all went to Disneyland.
We were actually down
And then
there.
did more stuff.
We were down there for work. He was actually attending the Race to Race MS Gala. I got to go. It was so fun. We did the whole orange carpet. And Stephen Kojo, from Intercept Tonight,
Absolutely.
he actually
He's
paid
become a
us,
friend.
he paid us the highest compliment. He said we were the Brad and Angelina of Utah. So,
Kojo. Official stamp.
That's like the stylist stamp right
I
there.
know, right?
that made my day.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And you guys, I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't really, it's so selfish once again, but I feel like for all the goosebumps and inspiration that I got, I'm happy you came on, even if nobody else,
Oh, you're sweet.
Thank you,
You're sweet.
I'm sure that if I enjoyed it.
I'm just glad I got through it without breaking down and bawling.
I did.
You almost made me cry.
You
a
guys
few
got
times.
teary-eyed a couple times. I got to see that. I liked that. That was good. But you
Well,
guys are
thanks everyone for tuning in, though. Hope you guys had
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
We're not making too much nonsense for you.
No, this is great. This is wonderful. Thanks,
Okay.
you guys. And join us on Facebook at www.facebook.com /Inside Out Life Design to find out about upcoming shows. And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.